entertainment sourcing manager, Alissa Anderson. If you ever wanted to dive deep into the world of entertainment, be sure to tune in today. I'm your host, Kevin.
And I'm Brian.
You're now tuned in to Coder Conversations. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show, Alissa.
Yes. Thank you guys for having me. I am so excited about this.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for coming on tonight. We appreciate you.
Yeah, we're
Absolutely.
definitely excited to have you. So, yeah, you've been deep into the world of entertainment. So, can you tell us a little bit about what a talent and entertainment sourcing manager does?
Yes. So I'm always looking for talent. So it can range from music artists, actors, actresses, DJs, authors to pretty much put on, I would like to say, a production for the events I'm looking into. So I've done a lot of entertainment events, for award shows. I've done a couple Super Bowl commercials in addition to some ancillary events for different corporations. So really just looking for the talent that can come in, and it really depends on what that team is looking for. So let's say if they're looking for, a hip hop artist, okay, cool, I could find that. Or if they're looking for somebody to talk about AI, I can find that too. And so, in addition to not only finding the talent, I help negotiate the best deal possible for that individual or for that corporation as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
No,
Awesome.
that's yeah, that's really interesting. So like just to kind of paint a deeper picture. So the client, they want you to find talent. They kind of give you a dossier, I guess, of what they're looking for, and how do you go about actually like reaching out to the talent that they want? Like how do you search for one, and how do you reach out to them?
So, one or two ways. So, typically, I do have relationships with a couple different entertainment industries and agencies. I'm sorry, I said industries, but a couple different agencies that are really big names in the New York, LA area, Atlanta. Sometimes even agencies that are overseas. And what I will typically do is have what I like to call a talent checklist. So it's essentially a rundown of what the client is looking for, or if it's working for a company, what exactly they're wanting for their talent. And then what I will do is I'll send it out to the agencies to see who is the best, and they'll pretty much provide different talent for me to kind of look through and help the business partner vet who's going to be the most appropriate for the
Oh,
event.
wow.
Now, sometimes you have it where, predominantly in the music industry, where the talent, they already know who they want, right? So we don't do the whole breakdown. It's more so just reaching out to their agents. Sometimes it's a little bit more legwork because most talent, you don't necessarily know if they're not, let's say, a huge name brand, you don't necessarily know who they're represented by. So of course we have to go and do the legwork of trying to find, their agent, trying to find, their social
Right.
media.
So, say someone like Usher.
Usher, it's funny. I've actually done a contract for Usher before.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yes, and that one, oh my goodness, I can't even remember. It was just for a very short. I think it was a very short film. I don't even remember. I think we already had the agent's information, so it was a little bit easier. People like Usher and Beyonce, a lot of them have their representation. It's very public because of how popular
Yeah.
they are. But
Like
yes,
they had PR teams, right?
yes, they
Someone
have
like
managers.
Beyonce. Yeah.
Yes, they have PR teams, they have assistants, they have managers, they have tour managers, they have literally the entire production put together for them.
All working for them. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, just from our experience, you can't really, once they get to a certain level, you can't reach out to them directly. Like you have to go through
Right.
somebody to
For
Yeah.
the most part. For the most part,
Yeah.
yes.
like. Do you also set them up for like radio appearances, podcasts, so on and so forth?
So you know what's funny? I have not. I've
Mm.
not done that. That is something I am interested in doing. It's more so for if they are doing a performance or if they're doing a speaking engagement somewhere. Now, I have assisted with people that are doing their press tour runs. So, for example, in New York City, they go to the different radio stations and pop in like, hey, check out the new show or check out my new book.
Check me out. Yeah.
Yeah, check me out. But other than that, no, I have not dabbled into that space as of yet. I want to though.
Okay, yeah, it's always good to expand your horizons. So, you also mentioned like the legal aspect of it, and I know just from a lot of the stories we've heard of entertainment, if you're not on top of the legal aspect, you can get yourself in some pretty bad predicaments. So, how do you work with your client to make sure they're also protected? When negotiating these deals.
That's a very good question. So I think, the positive side is that once you start to do a lot of contracts, you are able to kind of come to similar terms as it relates to different talent that you're working with down the line. So I like to call it kind of the standardized template of what we're going to automatically go in and saying that this is going to be favorable. Usually what I would do is, whether it's booking with the talent directly, or if it's me assisting somebody to book the talent, walking them through if there's any reservations, if there's any recommendations, and also potential risks if they decide, they meaning the talent, decide to come back and redline the agreement and say, hey, you know what, I don't like this, let's change it up a little bit. But for the
Is that
most,
common? Does that happen a lot?
yes, it is. And
I was
it's
just, I was gonna
really
say, yeah.
common with the higher celebrity, with the A-list celebrities. You are more than likely going to get a lot of red lines back in your agreements. So it's just more so working with their lawyers, working with their team to make sure that, how can it work best for the both of us? Because at the end of the day, I mean, we want our client to be happy about the work that they're putting out. But in turn, hey, we want to be happy too. So how do we do that?
Balance, right? Finding that nice balance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, like, just from your experience of working with different levels of talent from A list and not quite A list, have you found that A list is a lot more managed? Like you mentioned, you said there's a lot more like red lines. Like they only want you to engage their client in a certain fashion versus a little more lenient with the non A list.
Yes. So I think that because, A-list talent, they've more than likely they've been in the industry for some time, or they're somebody that just automatically rose to fame immediately. They have much larger teams and a lot more hands in the bucket to say what's going to work for them and what's not. So you do find that if there's, up and coming artists, or if there's somebody that is, maybe not necessarily A list, they might have a bit more flexibility, but it's not always the case. You can find someone that is B-list, C-list, or up and coming that also still wants equally as many red lines and changes. But yes, for the most part, with the celebrities, you are going to
You're
be
gonna get that.
for quite some time.
You're gonna get like special special color M&Ms from Mariah Carey or something
Oh
like
my gosh, the
that.
writers sometimes are
Doesn't
so.
she have a rider like that with like
You know what?
specific colors of a
Look,
candy or something?
I am not at liberty to say anything, but what I can say is that some people's writers, yes, they're like, oh, I want blue M&Ms only.
Only blue. Yeah, yeah,
This,
yeah. It's
and
like
you're like,
what?
where do you go get blue M&Ms? But it's fun though. I think that once you work with the teams, they understand that we're all trying to figure this out together, and usually they'll always do what's more so favorable to their client, as they should. But also coming into our area, whether it be if I'm working for a company or working on behalf of myself, it is you need to figure out how is it going to work for our side. So
Okay. So in terms of artists, I mean, I mentioned Usher. You said you've worked with Usher. Like, what are the biggest A-listers that you've come across in your business so far?
oh my gosh. So I've actually been able to help negotiate a deal with Matthew McConaughey. So that was really cool. Woody Harrelson. That was actually the Super Bowl commercial for 2025. I've also worked here with Simone Biles, Kerry Washington, um, Alona Maher. Jordan Childs. I'm trying to think of who else. Oh man, there's so many people. Oh, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm trying to pull out of my like catalog.
Or
And
how about let's say B list?
you know what's funny? Okay, look, we gotta pivot because if I say B list, some people
Yeah,
might
you
be like,
kind of.
I'm not
Wait,
Yeah,
B list.
wait a
Did you
second.
did
yeah,
you
yeah,
see my iTunes?
yeah.
Gotta be, but I would say, um, I'm trying to think of just there's so many people. Because I've done, the talent side. So like for example, or sorry, talent actors and actresses. Right now, I've named more so Olympians and music artists, and a bit of actors. But I'm trying to think on the acting side. I've done some work on the side for some of our radio shows. So I don't know. You're in New York, so
Yeah.
Power 105. That was a big one doing their deal for the Breakfast Club.
Okay.
Uh,
Oh wow.
yeah.
Nice.
So I got to meet, Charlemagne and DJ Envy, uh, so many people. Pretty V, I know she's, more on the Wild and Out Nickelodeon, or sorry, MTV side.
Right.
Uh, so yeah.
So did you want to dive into that a little bit? Like, how was it meeting, Charlemagne and the whole Breakfast Club
Yes.
crew?
So honestly, I would say meeting talent or meeting celebrities, it almost feels surreal because you think, okay, I grew up watching you. How are you here now in front of my
Yeah.
face? And because right, because you're in a situation where you can be a fan, but they also know that you're at work as well. So I feel like the level of camaraderie is a little bit different versus me coming in and being like, "Oh my God, can I get your autograph?" It's more like,
A
"Hey, Alyssa,
Yeah.
what's up?" And
little different. Yeah.
I'm like, "What's up? What do you mean, what's up?" Um, I'll never forget. There was one day when I first started working at Paramount. Well, it was Viacom back in the day. Uh,
Icon. Yeah.
First celebrity I met was Busta Rhymes,
Nice.
and I felt like,
Nice.
you know, me, I'm very short, so I'm looking. It's my first week at work, and I'm like, oh my gosh, should I spit a rhyme to him? Should I like do I do? You know what I
What do I
mean?
do? Yeah, yeah. What do I do?
Yes.
Okay, so like I know just from my just from what I've seen, celebrities they don't really like when you kind of fanboy and fangirl. They want to be treated like a regular person because they don't often have that opportunity of being treated regular. So when you approach them personally, do you try to as much as you might admire them, do you try to kind of keep that muted and just operate from a business
You know
standpoint, or
what's
how do you
funny?
approach
That
it?
is a great question because this past weekend I met an artist that I'm actually a fan of. And I said we were at a networking event and I said, hey, um, is your name? And he said, yes. And I said, oh, okay. Well, look, super huge fan of yours. We've crossed paths at one point at this event. You might not remember me, but I just wanted to introduce myself and say I'm very happy about your work. And it was like, oh shoot, okay, well, let me follow you on Instagram and let me do this and let me do.
Oh
So
wow.
that's kind of how I approach it, especially if it's somebody that I am a fan of. It's more kind of a easygoing, like, hey, what's going on? Nice to meet you. Super fan. I know I'm at work, but I just had to tell you that. So that way it's more of a, all right, I can let my guard down. They can let their guard down. And it's more of a, I respect you and I'm a fan of you, but I'm not going to be out here taking out my cell phone trying to, record you or get a picture.
So what was it like with Matthew McConaughey?
You know what's funny? So when I did or when I assisted with doing his deal, I actually did not go to the commercial shoot. So the shoot, I did the deal with his team, so assisting them getting it together. He was one person. Now I have seen him. I have not come into direct contact with him, but we
Mm.
do this event, which is called Dreamforce over at Salesforce. It's the largest tech conference there. And so Matthew McConaughey is a really big spokesperson, a brand ambassador for Dreamforce and for Salesforce.
Oh wow.
So I've been able to, see him from a distance, but I have not been right next to him. But I will tell you, if I get the chance, I'm gonna be like, hey, Matthew, you probably will never remember me a day in your life.
Let me
But
introduce myself.
let me introduce myself. So no, I hope to meet him. He is somebody that has been truly a legend, and his team is absolutely amazing. Real quick.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
So you've been able to work with a lot of different levels of talent, a lot of big names. Who are some of the names that you want to work with, but you haven't quite yet?
Wow. Mm, okay. I'm trying to think.
Heavy hitting question from Kev.
You know what? Let me let me let me let me let
Want
me
to get back
find
to me on it?
Let me come
I have an answer for you.
circle back around on that one.
If I could find a way to get to Beyonce and maybe she'll do another concert or something. That's one person I will say is very hard out of reach. So would love to work with her.
Yeah.
Um, Amazing artists. Would love to work with. Oh my gosh, there's so many people. Oh, there's an artist. Her name is Ray, and she is an amazing singer. Would love to work with her. Um, oh my goodness. I have to circle back on this question because now I'm thinking of everybody that I could ever want to work with.
So I know Rock Nation, they recently signed like kind of like a rock band, black rock band called Infinity Song.
I
Have you heard of
love
them?
Infinity Song.
Okay.
Yes, they
Yeah,
are amazing.
seems like Momo Boyd out of the group is really making waves lately.
Yes. And I love that because I think that with the music industry, it is ever changing. And, Infinity Song is one of those groups where you don't really see a lot of black, rock groups
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, not really.
at all. And it's
Not
funny,
at all.
I
Yeah.
met them in person as well.
I mean, I could only think just off the top of my head, like Lenny Kravitz,
Right. They are
90s.
great and, deserving of all the recognition that they're getting because I think that, especially in our Black community, like we said, rock, you don't really hear Black rock. So shout out to them for sure.
Yeah, just from what I've been seeing in the music scene lately, it seems like rap is kind of fading to the background a bit. And yeah, you do have to do something innovative. I think people are kind of getting tired of hearing the same kind of music.
Right.
So they're looking outside of the box, which, makes the way for a band like Infinity Song.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So yeah, let's kind of pivot a little bit. What actually got you into this world of entertainment? How did you actually get a career inside of the field of entertainment?
Yes. So I actually got lucky. I was on LinkedIn. I graduated college from St. John's University in Queens. And I didn't know, well, before I graduated, I learned that I was actually going to graduate a semester early. And so once my
Nice.
director, thank you, once my director told me, I said, oh, snap, I got to find a job because I don't have a job right now. And I went on LinkedIn and I applied to 27 jobs and got pretty much declined or denied from all of them except for one, and that was Viacom.
Mm.
And then
Wow.
Viacom during that time, overseed a lot of the subsidiaries such as MTV, VH1, BET, Nickelodeon, Comedy Central, Country Music Channel, and Country Music Channel.
Do
So
they own CBS as well, Viacom?
yes. So what's funny is that it started out as Viacom and then it migrated into Viacom CBS.
Okay.
So they merged and then it became Paramount.
Mm.
So
Oh, wow. Okay.
Viacom CBS, now Paramount. And I knew going to New York, I wanted to do entertainment for sure. I didn't know how to necessarily get in. So I don't have a, magnificent story in terms of me knowing people in the network and working it. I was just like, well, LinkedIn's try it out. But that's when people were getting hired on LinkedIn back in the day. Okay.
Yeah.
So I got the job. I started out as an administrative assistant, an executive assistant in New York, right at the building on 45th and Broadway. And so I ended up moving back to New York. I originally, once I finished college, went back to Dallas for a little bit, worked, and came back. And I stayed in New York. And while I was with the company, I just kind of moved up to the point where I decided, okay, let me also start my own entertainment business as well on the side,
Yeah.
because it
I
was
think
something.
that's important to brand yourself
Yeah.
because you never
Mhm.
know, in this day and age, you never know when you're going to get axed, and you never know
Okay.
when your job is going to
Mhm.
get deleted, just wiped away. Like in the tech industry, I think, Kev, what was it, like 30,000 people just got let go from Oracle?
Yep.
Is
Yes.
that right?
Yep.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
insane.
And I think too, just with like you said, the industry is changing a lot, and people are, jobs are going here, going there. So it's really important to just have your own branding. And I knew that when I was at Paramount, well, what is now Paramount, um, a lot of us had our full-time jobs, but we also ventured out into our own business. And I always thought, why are we doing that if we have the flexibility plan? But now I see that it's very important. So
Very important. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
I was told by a musician back. I lived in LA for about 10 years, and I met this one guy. I think he was from Colombia. I don't remember. He was a guitarist, but I had electronic music, video game music written at the time, but I hadn't released any of it. I had a name for it. It's called Blue God. I had the name, I had the design, the logo, all that, but I was feeling hesitant to put it online. And this
Mhm.
guitarist, he came over to my apartment one day, and I was just showing him some of the tracks, and he's like, "Man, this is like actually really good. You should be sharing this, because
Right.
he said no matter, he's a session guitarist. Are you familiar with that? Session musicians?
Yes and no.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, he was basically getting at, you need, no matter who you're playing with, you need your own brand. He made
Right.
that very clear to me, and I was like, you know what? I am going to go forward with this. I am going to put this music online. And I mean, it hasn't gotten a ton of fanfare or attraction really, but I enjoy, I used to enjoy writing the music. I like that it's up on YouTube. I got video game videos to go along with some of them. So, but yeah, when someone kind of gives you that suggestion of, hey, work on your brand, you got to work on yourself, you got to have something for you because you never know that band you're working with right now, you might get axed. And that's pretty much what happened to me in LA. I was working as a session musician, and then it's funny, I turned 30. And this, the second
Very
I
good
turned
comment.
the second I turned 30 is like ageism hits in music. I was doing a lot of rock, like jazz fusion kind of stuff. And so I think they just want that young, that young buck. They want that youngin to be their drummer or the guitarist or whoever. So I saw pretty much, I don't want to say every opportunity, but probably 95% of my opportunities went away once I turned 30. So I ended up moving back to New York with family.
Wow.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, that seems like a very, especially going from LA to New York, even though people say that they're both, the entertainment areas, they are drastically different still.
Mhm.
Oh
So
my God.
I
Yeah.
imagine,
New York compared to California is like another country.
right? It is. It
So you
is.
Especially LA.
Mhm.
It's unlike, I've been to a lot of cities. I've been fortunate to have been across the
Yeah.
country when I was younger, but like there's something about LA. It's different.
Would you
And
go back?
same thing with New York, same thing with Manhattan. Like there's really nowhere like it.
So from your experiences with these two cities, have you found like one is like better for music, this other one's better for acting, Broadway, etc., or like what are your experiences with like
Mm,
LA versus New York City?
You know what? I might be biased. I am not a fan of LA, but uh, most people are like, "What?" I will say back, and this is just my opinion. Back in the day, LA, I mean, New York was also the spot, but it was almost as if you went to LA, you have the golden ticket to Hollywood. You know the golden ticket they give you on American Idol? You had that golden ticket to whatever success looked like. Because I think New York is a bit more nitty-gritty groundwork. Like you're gonna have to hustle to get there.
Man, it's cold. Those
And it's
winters,
cold.
you
Okay.
get
You gotta
snow.
hustle
It's no joke.
to
It's
go.
no joke.
Absolutely. And I think I'm sorry. LA is a bit more. It's still hustle culture, but it looks a little bit different, and
It's a little more laid back.
a lot more laid back. And I think that most actors and talent they were coming to LA, dancers, musicians. But what's happening is that the market, even with media and production companies right now, they're essentially moving out of
Yeah.
LA because the cost is so expensive.
Yeah.
And so now you have talent out there that, because be transparently, if you're an up and coming talent, music artist, a lot of this is self funded, and you're still paying for this very expensive rent in this area while trying to find a deal. You're sending yourself on these auditions. You're
Right.
buying the equipment to even record your tape. You're going out to audition. You're doing a lot of labor and you're spending a lot of money. And I think because the market in California is starting to also feel that in terms of productions and entertainment companies, they're branching away. They're keeping the New York you know, team or I guess dynamic alive because New York is New York and that's just what it is and that's what it's going to be. Um, but I find that most people originally back in the day, would go to LA. But I find that more people are now migrating to New York to get that representation that they need and exposure.
And with music, maybe Atlanta.
Yes, I'll tell you, in Atlanta, everybody calls himself a music artist. I don't know
Well, I
who's
love Atlanta. Atlanta's huge.
Atlanta is a big.
It's a big city.
Atlanta is large, and I would say out here, same thing. The difference about out here, though, I think it reminds me a little bit of Texas in a sense of the opportunity. At least in New York, it's kind of publicized. It's out there. Um, LA, it's also somewhat out there, but it's also a if you know, you know. And I think Atlanta is a if you know, you know, right? The opportunities are not just going to be on the forefront. The auditions are not going to
Right.
be
On
po-
Craigslist.
on Craigslist. Okay.
Like, cause me as a session drummer, I got all my gigs off Craigslist. And
Really?
so, yeah,
No way.
100% of the gigs came from Craigslist. I was doing
Wow.
mostly jazz fusion. Um, and I wanted to hit that next level, that A-list level, would love to have played drums for, a major rock band, maybe like a
Right.
Coheed and Cambria
Yes.
or even, someone like Mariah Carey.
I love
That'd
that.
be an amazing opportunity. But those, it's not like, you go out to LA and people are, oh yeah, go out to LA. Go, you're a musician, go out there. But then you get there,
And you're like, where do I go?
you're looking around, you're talking to people like, okay, how do I play at this venue? Okay, this is like a popping off venue right now. How do I play there? And usually you'll kind of get stonewalled, be like, oh well, these connections that I have, I can't just give them to you because I had to develop them. So I mean, the band I moved to LA with, we broke up within 10 months.
No
It was
way.
a disaster. I booked us a meeting with a kind of like a studio head. This guy owned this really big studio and he was like a artist manager as well. And I hit him up back in the day on MySpace and he heard my band. We were in Connecticut at the time. I grew up in Bridgeport, Connecticut.
Nice.
So we were in Connecticut at the time, but I hit this guy up and he was like, "Oh yeah, you guys sound great. Let me know when you get out here." So the second we got out, we moved to West Hollywood to this small 3-bedroom house, and we packed all the equipment in the living room. It was pretty cool. But so I made this appointment with this manager guy. We went in, we met him. He was really nice. He gave us a bunch of free stuff like sticks and guitar strings and a bunch of stuff just for free. And he's like, "Yeah, come back around when you guys are ready to do something." And the singer, he had like throat problems, like major throat problems from singing incorrectly when he was younger.
Hmm.
So, but I had been with him for years and years, so I felt, like I wanted to honor him and
Right.
stand by him. But ultimately, because of that, we didn't get right back to this guy. And if you know LA, stuff moves like that. So
Yes.
if
Very
you if you hesitate, if you even hesitate for a second, the deal is lost. So
yes.
yeah, we hit him back like 6 months later, which is a ridiculous amount of time later, and he ghosted me. So
Oof, I
so that
believe
was
it.
it. So I was like, wow, okay, opportunity blown, and where do we go from here? We pretty much ended up breaking up a couple months later.
Oh no, I'm so sorry to hear that. That's
But then I became a session musician, so it's
it.
it is what it is. Yeah. Then I started doing more studio work, more live gigs at bars and venues, and it was cool for a while. But like I said, I kind of aged out because LA, they want you to be like 25,
Yes.
and I wasn't 25 anymore. So I said, let me move back to New York where my family's at, and my mom is aging, so it's nice to
Right.
be around her. I don't know how much longer I'll have her. So I think, really
So
me and Kat really agree on that. Family is super important.
for sure. For sure. And I think, sometimes when you are in the industry, whether you are the artist, the performer, or the person on the back end, you really get caught up with, the lifestyle and just trying to, get it going and keep it moving. It's hustle culture.
Yeah.
And also find you actually brought up a very good point that gatekeeping is very much a thing. A lot of people feel as though just because you're here, that doesn't necessarily mean that I owe you any type of recommendation or guidance. You need to work for it. So
Yeah.
drop yourself off in LA, people think that, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to come here and become Hollywood, when they don't know there's a lot of back end work and there's a lot of networking that you have to do. And you also have to figure out that or understand that those people are also trying to get somewhere as well. So it really becomes a trade off. What can you do for me? If you can't do anything for me, I honestly cannot help you, or to the magnitude in which you would like. So
Yeah. That was my experience. It's pretty much how LA runs.
it
Yeah, I
is.
got a friend that was, he was living out there in LA. He kind of managing these big YouTubers and stuff, but it's like as soon as a better opportunity came, they jumped ship from him to somebody else. So it
I believe
seems
it.
like,
Mm.
it's very opportunistic. As soon as you're not
Yes.
the guy who can give them the opportunity, they're leaving you in the dust.
Absolutely.
So yeah, to kind of segue, I know it's very important to build a foundation. So we mentioned kind of like that lifestyle. People go out there, they're looking to make it. They think people are going to give them opportunities, but like Brian mentioned, family is way more important because once
Yeah.
your hot level, hotness, it goes away. All of those so-called friends, they're going to disappear, and you're going
Oh
to
yeah.
have your family. So like what do you kind of recommend for somebody getting into entertainment, like the actual realities, like who do you keep close to you and who do you need to be wary of?
You know what? That is a really good question. I feel as though it is a learn as you go, because I will say in the entertainment industry, you do have a lot of people that put on masks, right? So they're very good at making it seem or sound like, to the point that you just mentioned, you're good while you're good, but as soon as you can't give something, it's like I don't need you anymore. But when we were good, I felt good, but now that you've dropped me, like a bad habit, I'm a bit confused now. right? Because you didn't understand the correlation of what was going on. So I always say to people, just ensure that you maintain one, your own individuality, because at the end of the day in this industry you stand alone. So build
Yeah.
for you and yourself first, because no one is going to look out for you but you, family included, managers, or anybody in the entertainment industry that you come across. As it relates to who you should be weary of, you know as I mentioned, it's really hard to determine who, because
Mm.
everybody's intentions looks a lot different. And the people that you might feel are doing the absolute most are probably the ones that could potentially be the most genuine. You don't,
Okay.
it's almost like a gambling game where you just might look up and get lucky. You might have somebody, that is going to give you all the free game, or give you all the recommendations, or give you the um, process and understanding of how it goes. But there's also other people that are like, no, absolutely not. Why? Uh,
Yeah,
and
well,
as
I'll say this though. During my time in LA, I did meet a couple of famous people, and this one guy, I won't mention his name, but he was an actor. He had really kind of come on the scene right around the time that I met him, and we were just talking about LA and Hollywood and music and film and everything. And he said, man, it took me way longer than I thought. I came out here. He said it took 20 years to really get into a movie. And most people, they don't realize that. They're like, okay, yeah, you see the star on the screen, you figure, oh, yeah, they just went out to LA and now they're a star. Like, no, like this guy grinded for 20 years and now he's a bigger name. So
absolutely,
he said to me, being a musician, he's like, bottom line is someone has to take a chance on you. Like, if we're talking like more A-listers, like someone has to be like, okay, I vouch for this guy. I'm going to test this guy out. And that to me, that was the bridge I can never kind of cross. I came across some very well connected people who didn't necessarily have the best intentions, so, you're gonna come that there's a dark side to LA as well. I won't really get into that, but that was kind of my experience. Kind of hot and cold, hot and cold.
it is. And I would also say, going into it, you do have to have very tough skin. So, because people are so hot and cold, you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know if this person, they might not like you tomorrow. I don't know. Like, it really depends. It's like, I mean, it really
Yeah,
is like that. So you have
terrible.
to just continue to move and continue to just do what you know best. And then, of course, as it relates to your family, just making sure, I will say, of course, as you start to gain your popularity, you do have family members that come around and they're like, oh, hey, what's going on, how you been? It's like, I haven't talked to you, but
Who are
not
you again?
who are you, but
Yeah,
at the
my
same
second cousin. What is it?
yeah, oh my god, we
Yeah.
go way back.
Oh, we go with no, we don't.
No, we don't, but just one of those things where you really have to stay grounded, and really just learn as you go, because you are going to make mistakes. You are going to probably meet people that you might not have, met, but you also, on the flip side, might meet people that are very fortunate to have you on their journey and will take you with them. So it really just, it kind of varies, especially in LA, because LA, I would say New York is a bit more authentic, in my opinion. I think
100%.
LA is a bit
Hundred
more,
percent.
you're putting on a certain, and like I said, this is no, you know, disrespect or anything towards LA or people that are in LA. But from my personal experience, it does look like, you have to put on a little bit more of a front to get to where you're trying to go.
Definitely. Yeah.
So I know like the entertainment industry can be very difficult to crack. There's a lot of pitfalls, and I know you have a business where you're teaching people to navigate the entertainment industry. So can you tell us a little bit about your business?
Yes. So I run Lessons with Lissa. I actually started it in college. It was simply a LinkedIn blog providing career guidance, not really encompassing or just solely focusing on entertainment, but just career resume building and social media networking in general. But as I got into the entertainment industry and I saw the gap between, the people that are totally outside of the industry trying to get in versus the people that are already in and making it, I wanted to find a way to connect the two. So I made Lessons with Alissa, which is my mentorship program. I used to do yearly mentorship where I would work with an individual one on one and just kind of building them from, the ground up in terms of their experience in the entertainment
Yeah.
industry. I now have my 4 week program that I typically do run at least 2 to 3 times a year. And it is essentially a 4 week program, individual, well, one on one, meaning me and the other person, tailoring their skills whether they already have experience or if they don't, we start from the beginning. We work on social media branding. We work on public speaking presentations, working on pitches, media kits, career networking, how to effectively use LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. I'm a big
Yeah.
advocate of LinkedIn.
Can you talk a little bit about LinkedIn? Because that's really our bread and butter.
Yes.
Pretty much Instagram a little bit lately, but the bulk of our guests come from me networking on LinkedIn.
Yes. So I love LinkedIn. I think it is a great avenue. I've been on there for a very long time, and I've been blessed to be able to just kind of grow my network within LinkedIn. So I almost had 10,000 followers, guys. But I do provide career advice. But as it relates to my mentorship, when I tell people about LinkedIn, I always tell them to come with a certain brand that they want to represent on LinkedIn, because I think what happens is that it's very saturated now with, everybody's giving career guidance, and that's fine. You know what I mean? Nothing wrong with that. Or everybody, the topics are starting to seem a little bit similar.
Yeah.
So, it's almost like as if when you come out with a new trend, right? The trend is popular because someone's never done it. And now you're the first person to do it. And now it's reaching its higher heights. So I advocate and I teach LinkedIn. I think that as it relates to, they have had some new updates as well. Um, Understanding the metrics when you are applying to jobs, what those look like, what the analytics are. Um, AI has been a very big thing as well. So a lot of people might say, I don't like LinkedIn because I don't ever hear back. So just teaching people avenues on how to, you know, effectively, get their application noticed, and then also how to reach out to people. So I'm a person on LinkedIn. I try to respond to every single person that reaches out to me, as long as I can help it. But what I've learned is that once again, once you have people messaging you, the context is kind of the same. Hi, I'd love to set some time on your calendar to learn about you. Okay, so like learn about what? You know what I
Learn
mean?
by what?
Yeah.
Learn about what? So I think that,
What are you really getting at here? Yeah.
yeah, what are you getting at? And I think, like I said, I love LinkedIn. I think that a lot of people just don't really know how to use it effectively. So I try
Yeah.
to teach that because it
Mm,
can be your best friend. But it's also one of those things you do need to be a bit consistent in
yeah.
on until you get to the avenue to where you feel like, okay, I can coast for a little bit.
So yeah, my question is kind of a two-part question. So you've seen successes from like a variety of vantage points, like from somebody trying to get into the industry, somebody mid-level, and these A-listers. So starting from the bottom floor, what are some lessons or what are some things that you've observed that separate someone who does make it into the industry versus someone who doesn't? And then once they get to the mid-level, what have you seen that causes somebody who's at that mid level to actually break away and maybe possibly become into an A-lister?
Okay. So I might ask you the second question again, but I'm going to answer your first question.
Okay, okay.
So I was like, wait, I was trying to piece it in my head.
Wait a
So
second.
I would say for somebody that is, just starting out, the people that make it to mid level, um, a lot of people like the idea. So, for example, right? Everybody wants to be a celebrity. Everybody wants to be famous. Everybody wants to be talented. Everybody wants to be somebody important. Fine. But what differentiates the people that make it from ground zero to mid level is the effort that they put in. So it looks very good on the forefront, right? And we know and as well as being a musician, um, time, effort, contributions, funding. You have to create the brand that you want for yourself, because when you go into the industry, or even if you're working for a company, right? If you get fired, who are you? Were you
Now
this
what?
person
Yeah.
that,
Now
you know,
what?
oh, I know she worked at such and such company, but what else does she have to offer? Or what else does he have to offer? So I think the biggest thing that I always tell people at the beginning is, when you walk into a room, what can you say about yourself? What is your pitch? Why are you, why should I be talking to you, to be honest? Like, what's up? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Limited time. I want to know what's the deal.
Like,
So
we're talking elevator pitch.
yeah, essentially an elevator pitch. It doesn't have to be like, "Hi, my name is Alyssa, and I have contributed to closing deals for," but something that is essentially going to make you memorable and going to
Mm.
separate you from just being this individual who came on my face and said hello, versus, "Oh, snap, like I remember this person." So,
Yeah, like if I introduce myself, I'm like, I'm Brian. I'm on a podcast, and
right,
I teach drum lessons. And
exactly.
that's like enough for to paint a picture in someone's head. Like, okay, I kind of see where this guy's coming from.
Exactly. So for most of my people that I have worked with, people will say, "Oh, I want to work in entertainment." Okay, doing what?
Mm.
Uh, I want to be like I think I want to do, okay, no, no, no. So now this is where, I will provide guidance on, there's so many different avenues in entertainment that people don't know about. They only know about the forefront, right? The singer, the actor, the people that are on screen. They're like, I
Right.
behind the scenes. So if that's something you do want to get into, of course, figuring out your ground level work, branding first, that matters before you even get the job, because you lose this job, you have nothing. Okay. So once you get that, then you go into, obviously, promoting yourself to these people. Um, whether it be you're, submitting applications online, going to networking events, because now you can come in and say, "Hey, I'm this person, but also have these, creative assets or creative things about myself that
Sure.
this can work." So then you go into your promotional aspect. So now we're working essentially to our mid level. Now, the problem too, I would say, is once you do the ground level work, a lot of people struggle to get to the mid level, because doing the work of trying to get yourself out there takes time. So you're
Yeah.
not always hit it on the money.
Energy. You
Yeah,
gotta you gotta
time.
have that. Like in LA, the people who I met who were really doing stuff, they were on fire. They were constantly marketing, constantly
Right.
networking, going out to shows,
Yes.
talking to promote, constantly on it versus some of the other people you'd meet. It's like, oh, how come I can't get any shows? I can't get
Right.
booked anywhere. And it's like, well, you're not hustling. There's people that are waking up way earlier than you,
Yep.
sending way more emails than you. So you kind of realize that at a certain point, you really can't teach hustle. Either you have that quality or you really don't. That's been
Yes.
my experience.
Absolutely. And I think that that's the part where people start to give up, and they're like, "This is not working," and a lot of people sometimes, unfortunately, try to dictate who is of importance, versus just promoting to everybody. So, for example, you'll have a lot of people that will reach out to the SVP of Atlantic Records. Well, they might not be the person that you know what I mean, that holds the weight or even has the capacity to talk to you. So reach out to everybody. Try to promote to everybody, because you don't know who knows who. And it does sound cliche that yes, you have to hustle and you have to promote yourself, but it's really because there's thousands of other people doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So it's really right place, right time. And I always think of it as if you don't do it, somebody's going to do it for you. You're going to see that they did it and you're going to be mad. So you better figure it out or, or go home.
100%. Yeah. I mean, it's a hustle culture. New York, LA, Atlanta. It's all kind of the same deal, you know?
Absolutely. Okay,
Can you guys see me?
there we go. Yeah, we got you back.
Get
Okay,
off.
There you go.
back in action.
Beautiful. And then I think I'm sorry, Kevin. Your next question was mid-level to
To like, yeah, start like somebody who's maybe at 50K and now boom, they're at like a million.
So it also okay. So for that, once you've established yourself, once you're in these rooms, it's easy to get in the room. It's hard to stay in the room. So just because you're there, it's almost as if, let's say a new and up and coming artist, they make this big song that's popular on social media. And yes, it worked for, a month, maybe two, maybe three, but after that, we don't hear anything else from you. That
Mm,
happens a lot. So
Yeah.
now it's keeping relationships that matter and also having a team around you. I cannot emphasize how important it is to have a good team that is knowledgeable in what it is for you to be successful, because they're going to put you in those appropriate rooms, right? They're going to be the ones pitching to radio stations or pitching to talent agencies, and even sometimes they get very tired and very lackadaisical. So if they do, then you need to have the awareness for yourself to understand, if everybody I lost tomorrow, can I handle it on my own? And also understanding deals. I cannot emphasize how much people, they get these, 360 deals, for an example, and they're like, yeah, I got $1 million up front. And then they're paying for their tour, they're paying for their dancers, they're paying for the musicians in the background, and they don't have any money. So I think that second mid-level to top level is really sitting and educating yourself on the nuances that are within the industry, and then also having a team that is truly qualified
yeah.
to be able to advocate for you and put you in those rooms to get up there.
Well, yeah, like you're saying, like you need to get into the right rooms, but a lot of the times you got to kind of come in through the side door almost. And you can't, it's not like it's not like back in the day, Tom Petty moves to LA, walks into Atlantic or
Right.
whatever, and it's like, sign
Oh,
me, I'm your guy, sign us. And then he
exactly.
gets the deal. Like, it's not going to work like that. You could walk into, you know, RCA or
Absolutely.
Capitol Record, and
Absolutely.
think, oh, okay, I'm going to go talk to the front desk person and try to get a name, try to get
Use
a
your
number, give them my demo, say, hey, can you pass this on to the A&R? No, that's not, you're going to get stonewalled. So you have to come in through that side door with this, at least the more like upper echelon, higher tier stuff.
Mhm. You
Yeah.
do.
It
You
seems like they already want you to have your brand built before they sign you nowadays. Not like they
Yeah.
really develop you like back in the
Yes.
day.
You know what is so crazy that you said that? I think artist development now has died tremendously. And I think because the industry, what it seems like, people just don't want to work anymore. Like they just like, you know what? I just want you to just be famous and then let me just benefit off your dollar. But now in terms of development and true, because back in the day, like we could take hip hop for an example, or take R&B artists. I mean, they were putting on full on productions back then.
Okay.
You got Michael Jackson, you got Whitney Houston, you have all these great
Yeah.
people and artists. And so now it's almost as if the industry is going off of what's trending
Yeah.
versus what is long term, because there are a lot of underground artists and actors and actresses as well that are equally as talented, put on these productions, but because they don't have the appropriate representation or they're not in the right rooms, they're not being recognized as much as some of the, I'll say, one hit wonders, or some of the people
Right.
that are
Mhm.
charging 500,000 for this one song that they made, and it got a million views on TikTok. It just really has changed so much.
Yeah.
Um,
And I feel like there's a machine behind people. You look at someone, someone like Sabrina Carpenter,
yes,
she has how many hit singles on the radio at one time? Like, where does
yes,
she come from? How is
exactly.
she mega famous, selling out stadiums, Madison Square Garden, all that? Where does she come from? How did she get to where she's at?
Absolutely. I agree. And I think that is so, interesting just to see how there's people that I know personally that have, been working and working and working, and they're independent. And it's harder to get that representation or to be in the room or to get the accolades, because all of the investment, it is a very hefty investment. That's another thing that people forget, that especially if you're not signed yet, you've got to be able to find studio time. Studio sessions are expensive, or finding the equipment, finding the right camera to record yourself. You know, cameras now are 1,000 plus. So, you got to buy
Yeah.
different backdrops and different outfits, submitting your documents to all these agencies. It takes time and a lot of money. So I think that people now, it's more of a get rich quick. So A&R development is like, oh, well, you're popping. Okay, fine, whatever. Like we're gonna make you somebody.
We'll take you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, take you. And you're, of course, for us, you're like, all right, great. Like I can pay my bills now. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think there's just like so many sources of entertainment now that companies, they're kind of like, they're not necessarily looking for the next long-term hit. They're just kind of, it's almost like McDonald's. Let me get like 10 decent level artists.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely, for sure.
kind of put them in rotation.
And just call it.
But yeah, no, you mentioned a lot of great points, especially about like the legal side, and I know you have a background in that. Yeah, like can you tell us a little bit about, before we get out of here, how you got into like really, looking into law and the legal side of things, and
Yes.
what can people do to protect themselves, and finally, like how can they book you to be able to talk to you about some more of these things?
Yes. So, fun fact, I have been in the legal field for quite some time, and I have a lot of legal experience. I am not a lawyer yet. Soon come, fingers crossed. But I think I've been very lucky and very blessed. I went to St. John's for undergrad. Majored in legal studies, and forensic psychology was my minor. And once I got into, well, even prior to me going to college, I worked in legal departments. I worked in the courthouse. I was a public defender intern, also a district
Wow.
attorney intern. I've also worked, in tech companies for their in their legal departments. And so once I got into Paramount, or what is now Paramount, I came in as an executive assistant for the legal department. So as I got promoted, I was able to, move into different avenues of what I wanted my role to look like. Now that was also because we had a bunch of layoffs at the time, so needed some help in a lot of different areas. So I picked up working on talent contracts for award shows. So BET Awards, VH1. Um, I don't know. I'm trying to think of all the other ones. I say VH1, VMAs. Um,
Grammys, Oscars.
yes. It's funny. Yes. So not the Oscars
Mm.
yet, not the Grammys yet. Although I always put in a good word for people that want to go to the Grammys, because I help with some of the casting as well.
Oh,
But
nice.
I, said I want to do award shows. I feel like I'm very good at it. I love being in the forefront. So negotiating the talent contracts for the pre-shows, some things that are in the main show, and some of the ancillary events. I started to just kind of study my, lawyers that I worked alongside, some of the directors I worked alongside, and so then they allowed me to start trying to negotiate these deals on my own, because you don't necessarily need a lawyer to negotiate a deal. A lot of people don't know that.
They
But
just got to know kind of what they're doing.
yes, know what you're doing. Don't mess up the bag. Please don't mess up the money. And so being able to do that, I started to find myself in a little bit more, extensive deals. So, for example, going from, working doing award shows, some scripted, some unscripted films, or sorry, shows, and, going into, for example, our Super Bowl commercial, right? That was a really big one. That was a new one for me. I'd never done a Super Bowl commercial. So I'm thinking, oh, this is a lot different than what I'm used to. So being a fly on the wall helped me to kind of gain my experience, to where I've negotiated probably over, I would say, about 400 contracts in my 6.
Wow.
Wow.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And I do have people that obviously oversee and assist me with making sure everything is correct. But it's been a true blessing. And I love doing it. And I would give advice for the people that are, trying to look for it, whether it's representation or agreements, is to really break down and understand and know back and forth what you're signing your rights to. Because a lot of times everything sounds good on the forefront, you sign it off, and then you're broke, or you're not getting the return on investment that you thought you were going to see. And also do your research on, the agents that you're working with, the company that may want to represent you, or what the contract is essentially saying, so that way you know this better than the person that provided it to you. I think that's the safest way to go, to make sure that you don't get into any,
Yeah,
potential abuse.
that's great advice. Yeah, that's great
So
advice.
yes, and then if you, are ever interested, or if anyone is interested to hear more or learn more, I do have my LinkedIn, which is linkedin.com/ Alissa, and the first 3 letters of my last name, AND. But I also have my website where I have a contact button. It is www.lessonswithalissa.com. And then feel free to reach out to me, and then my team will get back to you on us setting up time.
Just in case they need a spelling,
Oh,
LISSA.com.
yes, ALISSA, for sure.
Okay, there we go. Well, no, it was absolutely amazing to have you on the show. Unfortunately, at the top of the hour.
Yes, yes. Oh my goodness.
Before before we get
Okay.
out of here, what did you want to leave our audience with, any closing thoughts?
Well, first, I just want to say thank you both for what you're doing for the community, even having, me on here, all the other great talent, and just getting people more visible into not only the work that you're putting out, but also the level of talent pools that you're getting. I told you I looked at some of the videos, so I've been able to see, different avenues that you guys are reaching to, and however I can best support and share the word. Thank you. And I will always help you guys, for sure. So it's a shout
Thank
out
you.
for you guys.
Likewise.
Thank you. That's very kind of
Yes,
you. Very
yes,
kind.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And we'd like to thank
Absolutely.
everybody for tuning in. We'll catch y'all next time.